Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
So the first thing you're going to notice today is that I'm not with my usual partner in crime. So I'll explain why in a little bit. We're here today to do our live about activities to do with babies.
Yeah.
And Becky is a bit of an expert because she has one herself.
I don't know about that.
I've had 3 over the years, but it's been a long, long time now. And we know that lots of parents are sort of flummoxed a little bit about what to do with very young babies. So this was quite a hot topic and one that we were delighted to cover. But we thought we would start by just introducing Becky, because Alistair's on holiday, he's in Morocco, and he messaged yesterday to say the weather's terrible over there. So whilst we're having a heat wave here, he's experiencing clouds and cold.
Oh,
that's not to be expected. So Becky, tell us a little bit about your involvement with My First 5 Years and also just sort of your background as regards early years education.
So I am a content writer here at My First 5 Years, and my whole adult career has been with the early years. I looked after children from 0 all the way through to 5, and a year and a half ago I became a mum for the first time, and I thought that I knew everything, and actually I knew nothing when it came to having your own. It's really different. So actually I started to find that I really wanted ideas of things to do with her at home over the last year and a half, especially during lockdown. So that's why we came to this point.
And you have a Masters on Leave in...
I do have a Masters in
Early
Early
Years. Early years.
Not that it means anything.
Title?
A Masters in Early Years Education.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you know what you're talking about, really, both as a mum and as an early years educator.
They're very different spheres, though.
So what we wanted to do first of all was just sort of start with that 4th trimester, as it's now called. Now, when I was pregnant all those many moons ago, there was no such thing as a 4th trimester. So maybe start with what is the 4th trimester, and then we can explore some of the activity ideas to do with babies at that time.
So the 4th trimester basically is those months from when your baby is born till about their 3rd month, roughly. It's sometimes longer, sometimes less for other parents. So what that is a period of time where your baby is just learning to be outside in the big wide world, and they don't know what it's like to be in this world, and they're learning about the world around them. And I think as parents, when we have this baby in front of us for the first time, we're like, oh, we should be doing something with them. We're told, you go on Pinterest, you see loads of activities, you go on Instagram, everyone's doing something with their baby. And actually, you should just be in this lovely cocoon of having a newborn baby. It's not always lovely, it's sometimes tricky, where you are just embracing being with each other and starting to show them what the world is outside of being inside you.
And I suppose as well, it is a time where we're healing as well as mums that have delivered a baby, because this stuff's not easy.
No, and I think we, instantly want to go out walking or we're doing something or showing them things, and actually we just need to spend some time looking after ourselves. And the best piece of advice I got was spend the first week in bed and the second week, in your living room, as the very bare minimum. If you need much longer than that, enjoy those times. You're just together.
So in that 4th trimester then, or those first few weeks, 2 to 3 months of life for a baby, what sort of things are the most important things to be doing with baby at the time? Do I need to go out and buy loads of toys and activity stuff, or is there an easier way to live your life?
Yeah, I think, personally, I did go out and buy a few things, and I know actually that they don't really need a lot. During those first few months of life, all they need is interaction with you, and actually they're asleep a lot of the day. Not a lot of the night, but during the day they're asleep a lot of the time, so they're not always opening their eyes or looking at you, especially during that first bit. So all they're doing is watching you and listening to you during those first few months. So all you can really do is put them on your lap, put it on the sofa, and look in their eyes and talk to them. Could be talking to them about what you're watching or how your day's going, anything like that. Just being with them and involving them in your day-to-day. So if you're going out to make a sandwich or something like that, if you can carry them with you while you go and get some bread and bits out before you put them down, just involving them in your life and adjusting to your home life together.
Now, because this is alive and we have the window open because we're in the middle of a heat wave, somebody's decided to mow the lawn outside. So bear with me for 1 second while I nip and shut the window, and then we will carry on. You don't get this on daytime telly, do you?
And we've been preparing for this all day, actually, haven't we, with different noises and stuff. We thought it all ended, but no, alas it hasn't.
How unfair is this, that in the very first live we
Don't
have
worry.
Our first technical hitch?
Hopefully that's dumbed it down a bit. Dumbed it down.
I'm back. When Alistair watches this back later, he's going to think, do you know what?
Amateurs.
I've left it to a pair of amateurs. It's not true. It's not true. We do know what we're doing. So, I remember again, having had 3 children, I think with my first, I did go out and buy so many clothes and so many sort of toys and resources. And what I realised by the time I had my third is that really they do just need us.
Yeah.
Certainly in that very beginning. And the other thing that I learned was that to talk with them in as natural, well, when you say natural, it doesn't feel natural at the time, but just to talk to them.
Yeah.
And to try and sort of narrate as much as you can as well.
Yeah.
So I literally was at the point where when I was going to make a bottle or going to make a cup of tea, I'd be like, come on Olivia, let's go make a brew, and I'm going to put the kettle on, and which tea bag shall I have today? And just talking. Yeah. And what's that all about? Why is that important?
Number one, they're starting to listen to your voice and adjust to, you know, what it hears like and how you're changing things, and they're starting to then become aware of the world around them as well. So your pitch will change as you sort of have intonation in your voice, and it changes. So it's just about sound at that point, and they're getting their brains filling with information as you project sound to them.
Cool. So in many respects we can move beyond that 4th trimester, because what we're saying is that it's really about that opportunity to spend time with them, to talk with them. We'll maybe talk about touch and feel in a little bit.
Yeah.
But where do we move on? In fact, no, let's talk about touch and feel before we move on, because you said that we sort of go through different transitions of things that babies are doing in those first 4 months.
So the first thing you can do really as an interaction or an activity, whatever you want to call it, with your baby is touch and maybe sound. So if you are getting really bored, you could start to sing nursery rhymes. Now that's not for everybody. I remember when I first started in nurseries, it was totally unnatural to sing to children. But, you know, sing Harry Styles or whatever you enjoy singing, put the radio on and sing to that and dance together. Nice and slow sort of gentle movements are great for them. And then, you know, during your everyday sort of getting them changed, putting their clothes on, you could do little strokes on their face. You could say, oh, your cheeks or whatever as you start to change them, or light brushes on their arm. And if you really want to invest in stuff, you can get things like a feather. This is an ostrich feather actually, it's really... You don't have to have a posh feather. I wouldn't go and get a dirty one from the park though.
No,
these are
probably
proper
not
ones.
best, yeah. They are nice though, especially on a hot day like today.
Some babies actually really don't like it, but some really do, and you can pick up their feet and trace the outline of their feet either with your finger or with something like a feather. Or, a muslin that you use to wipe their face is brilliant for that. You can do it between their toes and things like that. So touch is really important. And sound, so you could do nursery rhymes to them, songs, things like that. Anything that comes naturally to you. Make up songs if you're feeling confident.
So as well as that sort of dialogue and that conversation, just that touch.
Yeah.
You were talking about maybe using a child's own body to touch themselves. Just explain that to me.
So as they're becoming more aware, so it's probably not straight away, but you can do it as soon as they're flexible enough to sort of reach. You can take their hands really gently. Their hands are usually clenched like this, but you can start to bring it to their face a little bit, or gently try and touch their leg to their arm, really slow motions. And that is an awareness that they've got body parts and they're starting to feel a sensation on their body as something else touches it. And there'll be different sensations to what you touch and to what they receive, because they're feeling both senses from both parts of your body.
Nice. Moving on to reach then, and this is maybe where you do invest in that piece of resource that you're going to use again and again. So chat through that. Yeah,
so after a certain period of time, you'll start to notice that your baby will start to reach out. Now there's 2 elements to how babies develop this way. So you have unintentional reach, and there's a really clear point of me watching my baby Edith when she saw unintentional reach. So we bought a wooden baby gym, and it had nothing over it. It was completely plain. And we put on it, the eggs that you get at Easter and you fill them up with chocolates or whatever. We bought some of those, and I added a Christmas bell, just something like that, and taped it up so it was sealed. Added it to a piece of string hung over there. And just when she was playing, she was just lying on her back on the mat, she would just sometimes flick her legs out and it would sometimes make a noise. And after about 3 days, it was no time at all, I could see her kept going for the same bell with one foot. And I was like, she's gone from unintentional movements to intentional movements. So she's starting to realise that her body has cause and effect, and she can move something by moving her body.
And I love that eureka moment when you start to notice what children are doing. And I think that was one of the reasons that myself and Alistair actually started My First 5 Years, is to try and really help parents tune in to these little development things that are happening in front of our eyes all the time that often we don't tune into. Because I think when we do begin to tune into them, how did you feel when you noticed that she'd gone from unintentional to intentional?
Well, I really felt at the point like that I was in sort of a mist of exhaustion, like you are when you're younger, in your younger sort of mum phase. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And all of this sort of practice and things that I've been doing with her has actually gone in, and you can actually see something tangible that their brain is developing. And I know this stuff on paper, but I hadn't really recognised all the signs of it happening.
Yeah,
It's
and
amazing.
the idea that we can help parents tune into that and see it, and also know then what might likely be next, and
Yeah.
how you can use play and interaction to help them progress along that learning journey.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, we've identified 1,300 things like that within the app that
amazing.
parents can sort of, over 5 years, and you know, no rush at all to get through them. In fact, the slower the better, because
Yeah.
they practice and consolidate. So this reaching out, keep telling us a little bit more about that, because I think that when they start doing that, is that when we can start to introduce some outside elements other than just us, you know, giving nice strokes and little massages and talking. What I think you've got an array of things
Got
around
a few
you
things
here.
you can show you. So yeah, when they start to reach, you'll notice that they're sort of bringing their hands across their midline, which is the middle part of their body, so that their hands are swiping across their face, or their legs coming across their body. And you'll notice that things start to be more intentional, so their hands might be starting to grab out and stuff. So got a few things you can do. You can go and buy stuff like this. This was a really good purchase I just got from Amazon. And it's a grab ball, because babies can't grab a ball. It's not big enough, but they can get their fingers stuck into something like this. And this is great for loads of different activities, because you can put things in that they can pull out. You know, fill it with different materials, things like that they can pull out. And you can just slowly roll it in front of them, because a big part of learning to grab is actually visual tracking as well. So they can see something going across them really slowly, and they're then sending their hand out to go and get it as well. So rolling something really slowly in front of them, it's great for that sort of grabbing reflex.
And you were saying sometimes when maybe as a very young baby and you've got them lay on the back, you can track, but not to sort of track.
Yeah,
to give them a headache.
Yeah.
Just
Don't make them dizzy.
Yeah, just really nice and slowly. You were saying something about, you know, starting to see that their eyes will track with it.
So you should follow, when you've got any sort of thing in front of them, high contrast items are good, so anything that's just distinctive, slowly moving it in front of their eyes and watching their eyes catch up with it. You might feel a bit silly at first, but you'll notice that they're recognising it moving, and they follow their eyes with it.
Cool.
You
mentioned
in a minute.
Oh right,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
I was going to say no. Let's come back to it later. But high contrast is something I want to touch on at some point.
Yeah.
So what other things might we have? Because again, what we're keen to do is not just sort of send you a big long list of things that you need to go and buy, but just to look around the house and see what have you got that's really great for children. Because the thing is, they grow out of things so quickly.
Yeah.
The less waste that we can, you know, have in our lives, it's helpful,
Absolutely.
especially at a time at the moment when everything's so expensive. So you've got some really good hints and tips of day-to-day objects.
Yeah, so I would suggest anything this is a sponge, but anything that's a bit interesting to them as well. You know, things that are unusual texture that they might not have seen before. They'll want to go and see what that is. They'll want to go and grab it and try and put it into their mouth. So sponges are great. You can use things like brushes. Got a shaving brush here, but like makeup brushes are great for that. They're really soft as long as they're clean, and they're an unusual texture when they get to them. They can have a little nom on the end, and then you know you can use that for the touch element as well.
Send them this way and I can have a feel of them as
It's like
well.
Blue Peter, this,
I know.
isn't it?
I presume on a day like today, where it is really warm outside, this is just the UK. I know people are tuning in from all over the place, but in the UK, it's so rare that we have beautiful weather. Of course, we're all moaning about it because we're too hot. But something like this in a little tray of water, so it's wet as well, can sort of help just sort of cool us down at the same time.
You just reminded me about Edith loved chewing a flannel in the bath actually when it was hot. Yeah, that sort of texture because it's unusual.
And actually that has just reminded me about safety. So for example, something like this, when a young child has got teeth, they can start to get bits off it. So whereas a flannel would be potentially safer if they were at that stage of teeth and pulling things off. So whenever we're using day-to-day objects, we just need to use our common sense as parents, don't we? And make sure that we're aware of any potential choking hazards or any hazards at all with those toys that we're using, and to watch and observe them all the time.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I love the flannel one. In fact, the flannel one for me, because I'm quite risk averse.
Would be
as a
better,
parent, I would let her sort of have a good old chew on that, knowing that a piece of it wouldn't come off.
Absolutely.
But these, especially when they're wet, these natural sponges just feel amazing. And I love this.
Introducing different textures and things like that. So even you know, you can get all weird and wonderful brushes and things like that, can't you? But they're interesting. It's got 3 different textures when you think about it on something like that.
And this just reminds me of our nursery days, because my background prior to this was that I ran children's nursery. We used to do this thing called treasure baskets.
Yes.
Just touch on that for what does it mean and how would you create one at home and how might you use it?
So you can use anything for a treasure basket for a baby. And basically it's bringing together a group of objects in a basket that they'll, when they're sort of starting to grab things, you might put in front of them and just observe how they use it. So you're not going to go over and go, oh, look at this, do you want to have a look at that? They're literally just picking out everything that they want. Now, how you start one of them is completely up to you. You can go around the house and find anything that's baby safe that you could put in there. So some ideas might be spoons, you can use like bowls and things like that. Bits of material, as long as they're not fraying, things can come off. A lot of nurseries use completely wooden items. It doesn't matter, you can use metal things as well.
I think it's more fun when there's a complete mixture of different things.
You'll find they're interested in more with one than the other as well, so it becomes that you're getting to know them a bit better.
And am I right in thinking, and I might be wrong, so feel free to tell me, but we used to kind of wait till a child could sit up, so we'd kind of sit them with the treasure basket in between the legs. I don't know whether that's a thing or whether it doesn't really matter.
No, I think you'll probably notice that they're starting to be more, their core muscles are stronger when you introduce something like that, so I don't think that's wrong, but you could sit them between your legs, so when they're not sitting on their own as well, so
and they could still get the benefit of that explore and play.
The main element of it is that you're not, there's lots of different interesting objects that they don't see all the time, and that you're not interfering. Is the main thing. Yeah,
these are fab. And again, if I was looking at this at home, I'd be just like giving this a good pull, making sure that none of this comes off. And then to observe a child play with this, I think is absolutely fantastic. I've got a little something here. You've probably gathered that I have a fear of a child choking, because my middle one had a choking incident and it was really, really scary. And it's one of those things. And actually, when I had a children's nursery, on the back of remembering that every single one of the nursery nurses was fully trained in first aid, because I wanted to know that if it ever happened, there'd be somebody there that'd be able to help. But this here is a fab little piece of kit, because if, like us, you're a massive fan of using household day-to-day objects, then one of the concerns you have is it too small? Are they going to be able to put that in the mouth and it be a potential choking hazard? So this is called, I think it's called a choke tester. And it's available on Amazon, or I'm sure they sell them in other places as well. But literally, it's just like this. If you look, here's this Christmas bell that you're talking about. You can see it does not go down. So therefore, that, in theory, is not a choking hazard. Now, one of the things I see a lot, and I've brought this because we are encouraged a lot to use empty bottles and fill them with bits and pieces, and I think you've got an example in a minute, and then put the lid on and it become a play item. This again is just a personal thing, but I don't like to see these toys being made with these small lids, because if you look, that lid will actually go into that tube. It's going down, so if that lid came off, in fact, let's do a quick demonstration. If I can open the bottle. There you go, I can. Where's it gone? But if that lid came off the toy, it does go down. So that's indicating that that is too small and that's a choking hazard. But there are lots of drinks like this that have much wider lids. I think like the Lucozade bottles.
Innocent smoothies, great for it.
Innocent smoothies. So if you're going to make some homemade bottles, then for me, I just think that's really important.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I think is dead worth doing, and I think you've done it here, you've kind of taped it, or a bit of glue. So it's big enough that doesn't go down, but the bits inside, if it was to come off, could still potentially be an issue. So just use a bit of glue. Because we're massive advocates of making our own stuff.
But doing it in a safe manner. So that, for example, is a vitamin, like a vitamin jar. But I would just say I would never leave a baby unsupervised with any of it. Ever, but it just gives you that peace of mind that if something happens and turn your back, then it is okay.
So anyway, the last is not a plug, because we make nothing of these things, but I think if you,
like them.
I think it's choke tester, and it's $4.95, I think, and I just think it's brilliant because it means you can make loads of stuff with confidence that it's appropriate.
A lot of the things that are sold, the musical rattles that have got bells on them. Those bells are tiny on a serious choking hazard, so I got these ones that are Christmas ones because they are bigger.
They're bigger, Cool. Chat us through some of your other stuff. There's some great ideas
I know.
here.
Well, musical instruments is one of my favourite things for babies. Babies love anything that makes an unusual sound, and you can make them out of everything. So we did the vitamin bottle a minute ago. That's got rice in it, and I just put some tape on it. And this is like a Smarties Christmas tube, and I decorated the outside with a piece of plain paper. Nothing exciting, but that has got pasta in it. You can use anything you like. If you're not wanting to use food, you could also use things like pebbles or gravel, something like that would make a sound. But do a few different variations to explore.
They do sound different
really
as well.
different, and the shift of weight in something longer for a baby will challenge them physically as well. So different size things, because obviously when Edith was very little she couldn't use this one because it was too big to hold, but she can hold that a bit better now.
Cool. Talk to me about why you've used black and white contrast. What's your thinking there?
So there's loads of science and research that's looked into what babies can see, but ultimately it's still being debated about the black and white theory. But there is a lot of science to suggest that they can see in high contrast. So young babies can see about 20 to 30 centimetres most clearly in front of them, and that grows and grows as they grow. So when you're doing any sort of activity like we're talking about the visual tracking, you want to do it around 20 to 30 centimetres, which feels like really in their face, but yeah, something slowly in front of their face. But the high contrast will just pique their interest because it's clearer for them to see, supposedly. Still being debated.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it
I would
make
say.
sense,
You know, sometimes you just look at something and think, does that make common sense? I think a high contrast thing is bound to be, because the sight to begin with is very much developing, isn't it? They don't come out seeing clearly as we do.
It's probably one of the most underdeveloped senses that they have. So yeah, it's something that we can do a lot of sort of the visual stuff with them. And I've talked about having this wooden tripod when Edith was very small, and what I did was just draw some really simple black and white pictures, and I'm no artist, but I clipped them to the side of the tripod when I was changing her. She'd just like look at them, so it's just something simple that when I was changing her and she wasn't writhing about, she could look at.
Nice. What else have you got here? I'm going to take, you know what, I'm going to take these just because I love them and just explain what you're thinking is.
Well, we were talking before about things you can buy for a baby, and Jenny asked me, would blocks be okay? And I said, oh, absolutely, blocks. Although they're not going to play with them too much when they're a baby, it's something that will last forever. Mm-hmm. But I did say, if you can go to the pound shop and get yourself some rollers, they're like a really early construction for baby. So they can reach out and just grasp them to begin with, and they're interesting because they look like little spiky hedgehogs, don't they? But also, it's the first level of construction that a baby will have because they stick together without, any sort of pressure on them. So that sort of joining mechanism that you get with connecting bricks when they're older is like the first way of learning that they can do that.
And they can get the fingers inside them and the hands. They're just easier to pick up, aren't they?
Yeah, easy to pick up.
Bit different.
Get different sizes of them, and colours and things. So you could really have just a basket like we were talking about of them for them to explore.
And when I'm going out at night, I can stick them in my hair and fancy myself
You pick up everything around the house though. Any sort of dust, it'll shame you about it.
Okay, so
another sort of construction thing you can do is toilet rolls. Toilet rolls can be a bit controversial, can't they?
Well, they used to be controversial until the Health and Safety Executive did some proper research and said they are safe. And if you go on the Health and Safety Executive's website and search for toilet rolls, or certainly the last time I did this, it said that they are safe. And there are some funny stories of nurseries that used to microwave toilet rolls to make them safe, but it's not necessary. The same thing with egg cartons. The Health and Safety Executive says you can't catch salmonella from egg cartons, and that egg cartons are safe, and that kitchen rolls are safe as well, because these are egg cartons, toilet rolls and kitchen rolls are proper staples of people that are into sort of open-ended, everyday recycling.
Absolutely.
So what can we do with them?
I would just set up yourself a little boredom box of recycling stuff that when you don't know what to do with them, you could just grab a few bits out. But I learnt this one when I was at nursery, and it's just a muffin tin. Muffin tins are one of the best things you can buy. They'll use them for years. Just cut the toilet roll in half and leave them on the floor like that for them, and they'll just try to come out. But it's sort of like a first jigsaw because they're realising that that's got a position and a hole in it, and they're starting to manipulate it back in as they grow and develop. So they're all sort of pre-skills that they're learning to more complicated toys and resources as they get older. Same with an egg box, they're fantastic to put things in. So as they get a bit older, you can put pine cones in them, but also toilet rolls go on those middle bits as well.
I was thinking they're not going to fit in, but it's not to go inside, it's to go on.
So I always keep an egg box. Drives my husband bonkers, to be honest.
What else have you got there?
And this is a IKEA classic. It's used for utensil brushes, but this again is brilliant for threading. Now, babies won't be able to thread, they won't be able to do that way until they're a toddler. But if you thread things into them, they'll start to learn to take it out, and that's the first part of threading. So this is a worthwhile investment. You can put straws in these, pegs, household pegs on the outside.
There.
These are really old-fashioned dolly pegs. But
they're great. They're the best ones.
Yeah, these have no bits that can fall off and become a hazard. So dolly pegs are brilliant. You find them in pound shops, things like that. Yeah, put them on the side and they'll learn to take them off.
So like you're saying, to begin with, a baby's not going to be able to do that movement,
Yes.
but they'll be able to do the taking off bit.
Yeah, it's
and then
the
they
reverse action.
They
usually.
can watch you put them on, so they're beginning to see what it's all about, but that'll come later.
Yeah. And they do, you'll just be amazed that when you set something like that up, how long they engage with it.
Yeah.
Whereas previously, they've not done much, you know, nothing takes a lot of time with a young baby, does it? So.
Now, this isn't a baby one, but this was slightly mean of me, but it used to keep Olivia engaged for absolutely ages. So she was a little bit older. But sticky back plastic, when you've got older children like I had,
Yes.
and you have to back their school books in sticky back plastic, I used to love sticky back plastic because you could turn it over to the sticky side.
Yeah.
You've got a little bit of rice here. You could stick a little bit of dried rice on the sticky back plastic, and then they would literally spend ages trying to pull it off.
Yeah.
They're brilliant.
Stickers, yeah, that sort of sticker motion. If you've just got like a set of stickers, like office stickers, they love those as well. Yeah, anything that peels off. Masking tape is a brilliant extra you can have for a baby, actually. So just put some of their favourite objects on the fridge door, a low-down fridge door, or something that you can peel the tape off.
Like a patio window that's low down or
That's a
something.
perfect example. And then they'll just leave the ends flicked up and they'll come over and start to try and take them off. You see that everywhere, but they do love that activity. It's a great one.
Interestingly, I had a friend of mine tell me that she tried that and
Yeah.
that it kept her really young baby entertained for absolutely ages.
We did
genius.
We went on a flight recently, and I took sort of like sticker tape with me, and that was the thing that kept her busy the most of the time. She just loved sticking them, and I put them on their arms, and she loved taking it off.
But masking tape rather than sellotape is
yeah,
the tip
otherwise
there.
you'll ruin your walls. Yeah, masking tape all the way.
Excellent. So, have you got any other little household things before we move on to some questions that came in beforehand?
The only other two things I would definitely say is you can get like wooden bracelets in charity shops, and if not, wooden curtain rings are fabulous for babies because they're made of a whole ring of wood. They don't come apart. And if you've got, the old-fashioned mug trees,
Yes.
like the wooden ones,
Yeah.
they're brilliant because
they
they can take them off, put them on. They won't put them on for a while yet, but they'll take them off or knock them all over.
Yeah.
That cause and effect thing.
Yeah, and they're good for
Yeah,
chewing
good
on.
chewing,
Yeah.
yeah. And anything like a box or a basket that's got a lid that you can put stuff in that they can just easily open, nothing too strenuous, or you can open and show them, is really intriguing. And they can start to pull things out and add things in. So I've just got some little...
And again, nothing too heavy. So
yeah,
even
that's
if
probably
that
a bit
drops-
much for a baby, but like a basket or something, yeah.
Yeah.
You just really got to take where your child's at the moment and think, is that safe for them at the moment? Yeah.
Yeah. I think for us it is that as parents just taking ownership of that risk assessment side of things and thinking about small parts, because small parts are potentially choking hazards, thinking about the robustness of an item so it's not gonna you could chew this and that's not gonna break in a child's mouth, and where this is safe, we've had a good look at it, but where something like this, just to make sure they don't come out easily, because obviously when they're on there they're safe, but if that was to come off they wouldn't be.
And regularly check them as well, because with time and wear they won't become...
things change, don't they?
So bin toilet rolls and stuff when they start to fray and things like that.
Cool. So we have some questions. This one came in beforehand, which is what 3 things, I don't know why it's 3, but 3 will do. What 3 things would you recommend always having at home to play with? And bear in mind this topic is about babies, so that 4th trimester and slightly beyond.
I think the best 3 things to have are something that make a noise. So that could be something that you've bought from a shop, like a rattle or something like that, or a homemade shaker. Something that moves, so you could get like a wheelie cart, or you can get really good baby ones as well where they're chunky and they can move, but you can move it in front of them as well, so they're doing that visual tracking, and when they develop grasp and reach they can do it themselves. And then something that stacks, so we were talking about the hair rollers before, but also a quality stacking cup is not a bad thing to ask someone to buy you when you first have a baby, because you can use them to play stacks with, you can use them in the water. There's loads of different things. Stacking is a great first construction, so... And if you don't want to buy one of those, you can always use those. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, just touching on it, you said when people ask you what would you like, and often you get, is there anything that you'd like? So a baby gym we think is a pretty good classic.
I think so, yeah.
Really, probably with nothing on it, ideally, where you can just add and take away things that are of interest at the time, something really simple. But what about clothes? Because we had somebody from Bundley come to talk about clothes the other day, and what just fascinated me was in the first 2 years, babies typically go through 7 sizes of clothes. Yeah. But also, I remember some of the clothes we put our firstborn in, bless her. She looked gorgeous, but she probably wasn't that comfortable. So what is brilliant for helping children just sort of be as comfortable as possible?
Yeah, well, a really important part about baby's development is that they need space and time to move. And when babies have got things on their feet or they're quite restricted in clothing, it makes it more difficult to move. And you can start to see that when they start to crawl and walk, that when you put a pair of jeans or something on them, it makes it more difficult for them. But that also applies to when they're a baby. So as much time as you can spend with them just in their nappy or have their feet uncovered, their arms uncovered, is great, because they'll start to feel the sort of breadth of the movements that they can make and explore the sort of surroundings better. So keep it really, really simple. When it's cold, like a sleep suit, and then vest tops and things like that, or nappy time if you can do that. That's brilliant. It's just great for them, just understanding the broadness of their movements.
Well, unusually in the UK, nappy time is probably a good thing, if not just completely...
Yes, I would say that, but I've had a few accidents in my time going completely nappy and free, but
so,
it's not for everyone.
Not for everyone. But another question that came in, any idea for hot days like today when you don't have a garden?
So I've got a few things for this. A bath is a great way. People usually save the bath for the end of the day or first thing in the morning, but use it as an indoor pool in my eyes. Go spend time just cooling down, playing with the water, make it more fun, put music on, change it up from your usual bath time routine.
And children love, they might not be able to lift the cup and pour yet, but just, lifting the cup, pouring, seeing
visual,
the water, the sponge
change.
again.
Sponge, yeah, they're all brilliant. So bath time's ace. You could also do something like a tummy time mat. We've got one on our Instagram page, which is just a laminating pouch, which you use a hair straightener to seal 3 sides off, and then fill it with things like hair gel or sequins or water, whatever you want. But when a baby does tummy time on something like that, it really cools them down, so that's great. Or go somewhere like Pets at Home where they can go and watch the fish and you've got aircon.
True.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. Do you know what? As well, last year I bought my dog a dog mat, and I don't know what it was, but it was always cold. It had a gel in it that had some sort of reaction that kept the mat cold. So you didn't need to put it in the fridge, and it was quite inexpensive. I'm not suggesting we put our children on dog mats and leave them like you're able to leave a dog, but it was just a really nice cool surface to maybe try a bit of tummy time on. I
think that's a great recommendation, definitely. I used it a lot when I was pregnant, actually, because they're just so hot. But as long as they're not sleeping on it, that's not a bad start.
Yeah. And then the final question, and believe it or not, half an hour has been and gone. What could I set up for my baby while I get lunch and dinner and things like that ready? In other
age-old question.
Something to keep them occupied while I get on with the day job, so to speak.
All the bits. I would always set up something like a mat close by. We have a tile floor in our kitchen, that's why I was thinking a mat, but something that you can keep an eye on them, and maybe that baby gym again where they've got something that will just occupy them. If not, put a radio on, put some nursery rhymes on them, and I used to sort of just do some movements and try and make jokes, just so that she was just watching me. She really didn't mind.
I've just got an image of you dancing around the kitchen now.
It's not a good look.
Singing away and keeping Edith totally entertained while doing whatever it is you needed to do.
She just thinks I'm crazy, No.
Oh, Becky, that has been fantastic. We could talk.
I know, I just thought there's so much more.
There is literally so much more, but we can share other ideas on our Instagram, and of course we've got, I don't know, something like 2,000 activity ideas for children now in the app, and we've got this new feature called a mix of 6. So every day when you log on the app, it gives you 6 really simple activity ideas that you can do at home, and it's all with things that are available in your home or outside the front door or in the environment generally. The idea being that we don't need these Instagram perfect activity ideas, and these activity ideas that we present are exactly for where your child is right now in their learning. So as well as it being easy for mums and dads and simple and fun for children, it's also helping them learn. So thanks so much. Did you enjoy it?
I really enjoyed it,
yeah, and it's gone really quickly.
So quickly.
Fabulous. Well, I have to lean over now to press the button to stop the recording, so thank you everybody for joining us, and it'll be on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch it as well on our Instagram page at any time and share it with your friends. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye.